Hi everyone, welcome to today's session on Revit 2027 features. Today we'll be going through the new features that have come out as part of the latest version of Revit 2027, including Autodesk Assistant, tagging features, rule-based numbering, user interface enhancements, coordination and issue management, and finally Embodied Carbon. Now there are plenty of more features with this release, but we're just sort of going through some of the top picks from bimco. First off, the hot topic, of course, Autodesk Assistant, aka AI within Revit. Now to access the Autodesk Assistant, you can come up to the right here and select this little icon up here, and that will launch the Assistant. Now first thing it'll pop up with is a prompt. The best way to understand what the tool can do is to use the guided prompt, which says, "What can you do for me?" Now, I've spat this out a few times and it's given various answers. This one's a lot shorter than, oh, there we go. But basically comes up with more or less the same things. Now, it's important to prompt the prompt so that you know what it is capable of. Now I have gone through and done a few, got a few scenarios here, example prompts, which I'm going to type in so that we can have an understanding of what its capabilities are. So first one, we're just going to go with view management. So let's start a new chat. I'm going to start a fresh one there, and we're going to create a floor plan view for ground level and apply the WD plan general view template. So that's going to work its magic. Now, what I have prepared here today are curated prompts. Now, in our testing, we found that you need to be very specific with what your requirements are, because it can get easily confused, and if you even if you don't use the right case on a particular view name, it can get confused and not create or not generate or not find what you're looking for. So there it is, there's the view there, and if I go to properties, it's hopefully got the view template assigned. Okay, so next one, we'll have a look at element modification here, and we've got a pot here and a pot plant. We're going to try to move it over to this entry area, so let's pop that into the chat. Move the pot plant into the entry and position it near the lounge and the wall. So ideally it'll land over here. I believe in our testing that's what it did last time. So it's going to query the model. It's going to find the plant. It's going to identify the room, and then it's going to try and have a go at moving it. Now, we've had very mixed results with this tool, with moving elements. When I tried to move the desks in this space to have great circulation, it felt like outdoors had great circulation, so our desks actually ended up outside. Okay, so that's had a good go. Obviously, a human needs to come in and say, hey, you shouldn't put the plant on top of the lounge, but this is why the AI is an assistant. Now, it's important to note, whilst we're testing, that Autodesk has stated this is in what's called tech preview, which means that the tool is in beta. Okay, so I've just tried to create a furniture schedule and it's just struggled to do that. So it is good to create a fresh chat sometimes when you're sort of moving in between tasks. So I'm going to try and create a furniture schedule that includes type name, room name, count, and comments. Now, you'll notice again, I'm very specific with what I'm trying to achieve. And that will give me the greatest success for this. And here's that furniture schedule. There's family, room, count, and comments done. Now we're going to do some BIM coordination here. We're going to copy the associated level for all furniture elements into the comments parameter. So that's now going to go through, identify furniture within the model. It doesn't have to be in the active view, and copy that across. You can see there it's had a go. and then it's revised itself. Something failed, but at least it's told us there. And Revit helps. So again, we'll start a fresh chat here. You can ask it questions. What's the best approach to modeling skirting if it needs to go up a ramp? And it's basically just like having a chat there with a large language model. I don't know, some of the workflows aren't ideal, let's just say that. So it might go against your BIM management workflow. So in actual fact, you're probably best off to rely on your internal systems for this, because I've asked it this question and it wants you to do a wall sweep, but we all know wall sweeps can't go up ramps, they can only follow in a straight line, so that's actually not good advice. Last one here is model querying and analysis. I'm just going to ask which windows are larger than 1 square meter in my model. So it's going to query the windows and then it's going to come up with an area. Now again, I've really engineered this prompt. Here it's come up with the IDs of all the different windows and the areas of those windows. It's also reported back the skylights. So it's saying our skylights are 13.76 square meters. Wow. Those numbers seem extremely bloated. Okay, so let's have a look see. Now I do know that this has been reporting incorrectly for these skylights, so that's why I've thrown this prompt in, and we'll ask it to double check skylights, because I know that that skylight there, which is 780 by 980, and I've measured it in the model, is certainly not 1 square meter. So we don't know where it's getting the information from. Oh, okay, I can see it's actually written this incorrectly. It's put meters squared when it's meant to be square feet. It's also got the number wrong. So look, the point of this exercise is to show you that be careful with the information that it's presenting you. It is overly confident. It does seem to state that it's correct, but I would be checking and validating everything. Just the same way you would do with a schedule in Revit. You want to be validating the information that it spits out. Okay, that's enough for the AI. Let's head over to some tagging features. So let's have a look at a floor plan here. Close down those. And we're going to tag, say, this kitchen. Now I've added a leader to that. Historically, you had no control over the positioning of that leader. Now we have these little clips, paper clips, where you can actually select that, and then that comes up with a green dot, which you can then move into position as required, and quite useful for these types of tags that aren't quite centered. You can do the same at the other end, and that allows you to unclip and have it exactly where you need it. The next feature, multi-category tags, can be applied by default. So if we go to annotate, tag, loaded tags, you can actually assign these, and I've already done it. You've got furniture, multi-category tag, furniture systems. Have also done it for plumbing fixtures, which means that we can do a tag all, and we can do furniture and systems, and we'll do plumbing as well. Plumbing fixtures, you can see it's picking multi-category tag, which was not possible before. I don't have any values in my multi-category tags, but there they all are as question marks ready to be populated. I'd like to see that actually for keynotes would be the next great advancement if you're listening Autodesk. Over to tread numbering. Head downstairs. We've already placed these in. Now this was definitely a frustration of users of past, including myself, where you have no control over the actual text types for these. Now you can actually select them and edit their type. So you can have different types of tread numbering, and you can change your font, your size, your width factor, and you can change the graphics for above the cut mark and also the text for above the cut mark as well. Same again, text, different colors, different backgrounds, so heaps of options there, which is great to see. So if you head into annotation categories within the view, you've got a stair tread / riser numbers. Now you can actually not only turn off all of them, but you can turn off either the above or below. So for the ones that are above, untick that, click OK, and then you just get the ones that are visible within the viewport. Again, another nice feature for documentation. Heading over to one of my favorite additions to Revit 2027 is the rule-based numbering, which allows us to automatically number elements within our project. Now we're going to head into a plan here. Let's go up to level 1. Okay, let's go into manage, numbering, and this is the new tool. So here, I've already set up a few of these because it is quite involved to go through it. We'll go through that in another class. I'll just take you quickly through a couple of examples that are already preset. So you can define, and this is probably the most popular one, for doors to be numbered automatically by the room that they're connected to. For this to work, essentially you create a filter, which is just your typical filter that you already have within your projects. In this case, we've got doors and we've got phase created is new construction. Important just to do the ones in new. Numbering parameter, we've selected the mark. You don't get much option in there other than comments. Partitioning basically means what is it assigned to. So we start again at each room, which has a different number. Element matching we're not going to worry about, and number formatting, basically how would you like the numbers to be presented. So the number is the door number, and the 2-room number is the parameter that we're pulling from the rooms. So, and then we can have a look at the numbering sequence below. Once you've clicked apply, this will become available. And these are all the room numbers in the project, the starting value, and then how they're applied. So let's just click OK on that. And you can see we've got room 101, which has 101 and door number 1. Here's room 102, which has room 102 and door number 1. And if you were to add new doors, it will become 102.2, for instance. And back to the bathroom, 101.2, if you can see how that's working there, 101.3. So it's not just incrementally adding based on positioning of the order of me placing them, it's actually using a smart numbering technique there. So we do have this done by level as well, where rooms are numbered by the level that they're on, as well as furniture by the level that they're on, and just an incremental value, so we can track our furniture in our projects. So lots of depth in that tool to explore, but we will move on. User interface enhancements. So very small one, but quite handy, is the editing display of certain elements. If I go into colors here, editing, which used to be just rebar editing, is now available for other editing features. I think it works for parts as well as assemblies was the big one. Assemblies were incredibly difficult to view previously when you edit them. There used to be a bright green, but I've set my own color here, which just makes it that little bit easier. Looks still a little bit difficult to read, but at least we've got some control over it. You'll notice as well, as we're going around Revit, if I draw a new wall, for instance, they've been phasing out the options bar, which I think is an excellent move for the user interaction, because often there's a whole bunch of controls that get lost along there that people aren't even aware of. So they've turned them into buttons. So things like offset and chain and these auto join features and things like that, they have now moved up into the actual ribbon. And accelerated graphics, which used to be under Tech Preview, has now graduated from Tech Preview to become a feature within Revit. Now you'll notice things like letters will disappear on the grids, all the line work will go thin, but the idea of accelerated graphics is for those really intensive views that you struggle to navigate, to allow you to navigate them a lot easier. So it improves the performance considerably. Okay, moving over to coordination and issue management. So issue management used to be a tool that was downloadable and installable as an add-in. Now it's available within the Collaborate tool under issues without any installation required. So if I run that, that will connect to our former project online, and will display the issues natively within Revit. This was all possible before, but now it's actually available without having to do any additional installation. So quite good. Just with navigating to get back, hit refresh, and then you can click on the next item. If you'd like to add new items, you can just go create an issue, add one in, plonk it there, create an issue, and away you go. Now these can be viewed online as they always could be before. You have a lot more features online with that tool, including marking up the thumbnail. Okay, next we have the changes for coordination models. Let's just close that off there. Now I've brought in a copy of this model here. This is a coordination model. To bring those in, it's an insert coordination model from the cloud we've picked, and we've picked a Revit file. If you go locally, I believe you can only use Navisworks files, but from the cloud we'll use the ACC or now Forma models. And to get to those, we'll go to Collaborate, Coordination Model Changes dialog, select your coordination model, and then check the versions that you'd like to compare against each other. So we might go version 4 versus version 2, and let's just give that a little bit of a moment to catch up. Okay, so once that's enabled, we can compare the two versions. We can see elements that are added, elements that are modified, and elements that are deleted, and those are selectable as well. So we can toggle them off and on, and you can also review by selecting within the tree. You can actually see all the different things that have been edited between the different versions. Finally, with coordination, I'm not going to go into it because it's quite heavy, but you can manage scenarios with Forma tools, which includes analyses that are based up on the traditionally based up on the Forma tool, and bringing down the scenarios and other model elements into your project. So it sort of connects your project back to Forma there. Finally, there is the Embodied Carbon additions to Revit 2027. To get to those, we go to Analyze tab. We head over to Analyze. Now we're not going to analyze because that does take a little bit of time. Once that's run, you'll be able to view it, and I will be able to open that for you because I have analyzed this already. Now while we're waiting for that to load, I'll show you how you can input the carbon information into your model. So this is now an additional asset that can be added to materials. So we're going to launch the materials browser. We're going to navigate to, say, concrete. Now, whilst we're navigating, you'll see a little leaf appear. That means I've already inserted the carbon information asset into that particular material. And if I select it, it comes up over here. Now, if I'd like to add it to another one, we can click another one here and we go to the plus and we add a carbon asset, search for concrete, and then specify the type of carbon asset that you would like. So we'll load that one in and click close. And you can see that's now got the leaf on it as well. Click OK, and now anything that uses that material will show up with the appropriate carbon information once the analysis is run. And that has run and it's opened, and this is what it looks like online. So you've got a little model preview here on the side, which is a simplified version of your project. And then we have the analyses, charts, and there's other displays here you can look at too. Don't ask me to go into any of this. You need your own degree to understand half of this information. So, but that's great to see because this is a highly requested feature in Revit.